What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is WandaVision Season 1, which I'm just now realizing is going to be the only season. But you know what? This is how I open my videos, so it's fine. Season 1, Episode 9, the series finale. Kind of an interesting title. So title works on a couple different levels because it is the series finale for apparently WandaVision, which if they do end up making another show, like Disney Plus show about Wanda, probably won't be called WandaVision because the title really works for her creating the sitcoms and stuff, so I get it. But also the fact that, she broke apart the Hex, which is where her show, like the reality show that she created, was existing. So it's also the Hex's season finale as well. So works on a couple different levels. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, and I know like very few people will probably watch this, but I really wish I could just like send this message out to everyone on the internet and just all of the online trolls and all of the online news articles that think it's like so cool and interesting and fun to just spoil things. That's my message. Seriously. Why? Why do you want to spoil so much? Like I said, the Evan Peters twist would have been a fantastic twist if I hadn't known for months all these articles. Oh, Evan Peters is going to be on WandaVision. Is he going to be the new Quicksilver? Are they bringing the X-Men in, guys? Would have been awesome to watch how they originally filmed it and intended it, where door opens and you see the back of his head and then it comes around to his face. It's like, oh crap, I thought it was the other guy and it's him. That's so cool. But no surprise, because I was spoiled. Literally could not watch it Friday because I had work. I had no time to watch it. Told myself, all right, get this. Try to stay off social media as much as I can. Try to watch it Saturday. Got on social media for like 2 minutes. Spoilers abound. I love the fact that some of these online articles will post pictures or memes or just anything they want. But they feel like it's okay as long as they put spoilers like somewhere in the caption. It's like, oh, spoilers as I see a picture of like Vision and Theseus' ship. Or, oh, spoilers as I see like a comic strip of somebody like crying, because they saw the end of WandaVision. I'm like, okay, the Theseus' ship thing, like, probably didn't give me as much info. But, I mean, the crying stuff, all of the people that were posting like, oh, WandaVision made me cry. Oh, it was so sad at the end of WandaVision. Okay, you can talk about whether you liked it or disliked it. You tell me you cried at the end. Let's see. There's a scene where she's opening up the Hex, and oh, Vision and her kids are disappearing, and people said they cried at the end of this episode. I wonder what's gonna happen now. Honestly, even before I saw that scene where she opened up the Hex and they started disappearing, I'm sitting there going like, people cried at the end of this episode? The Vision that she created started to disappear as soon as he left the Hex originally? Could it be that maybe she's going to lose what she created? Could it be that she's going to get rid of this reality where she's happy? Is that why everybody's so sad? No, that can't be it, right? It's got to be something else. Go and kill all of you! Not really. It's just a joke. Kind of. I want to seriously punch everybody in the face, though. Like, that is not a joke. I want to punch everybody who decided to post spoilers. Like, literally, before noon, I think, I saw a couple of them were like, I got on, like, later in the day, and it just, like, popped up on Friday, the day it was released. At least give it the weekend, because some people work on Fridays, and they don't have time to watch it. Grr. Anyways, so I went on my rant. I'm done with the rant. Time to talk about the finale. So yeah, aside from the fact that I knew that was going to happen at the end with the disappearances and stuff. Excuse me. yeah, I mean, overall, this episode was good. There's still a lot of questions that they left unanswered, but they also wrapped up some things as well. So it all worked out for the most part. I'll go ahead and talk about the couple things that I'm not really sure if I enjoyed. There's some that it's kind of like still sitting on my mind. I'm like, I got to take a couple days to think about it before I really know what my opinion is. So first of all, the whole white vision thing. So, the concept was interesting. The fight scene, bit underwhelming. The fight between the two visions, bit underwhelming. I get that the budget was not as high for this, so it's a little bit difficult to really make something that's super fantastic, like from the movies and stuff. And honestly, aside from like some of the, like Man of Steel had some good fight scenes with like flying superheroes. Aside from that, most of the time with flying superheroes and fight scenes, it always does look a little bit weird. Like it always looks like they're moving kind of slow to me. Because I can remember thinking about that in like, Superman Returns, Lot and Supergirl. I'm trying to think of what other shows have like flying superheroes that fight. But it just always feels like whenever they do flying fighting and like two superheroes flying and fighting each other, it always feels like it kind of seems a little bit slow. Um, so, and for Marvel especially, like the action scenes are typically one of their better things to watch. And again, I know it's a budget, but it still felt a little weak compared to some of the other stuff. But aside from that, like I really enjoyed everything with White Vision until the end. Like they go through that awesome scene in the library, flies away. Where did he go? Nothing. Like I don't know. I expected to see something. Whether it's seeing where he's flying to, seeing somebody find him, seeing him like I don't know, just anything. But he flies away after that conversation, which I will talk about, and that's it from him. We don't see him anymore. I'm just kind of like it's a really lame way to end his story. On top of that, the other thing that really didn't sit well with me is the same thing that hasn't sat well with me the entire season. Hayward. So, after all this time, yeah, he's still the same one note douchebag that he only had one point to play in this whole season, and that's to be the military guy that has a secret agenda because he wants to get this vision and get rid of it because he has his own vision he's trying to create, and so he does that. And that's all he's trying to do is just have his own vision to use as a weapon. And then in this, after Wanda created the second vision, that's when he was like, okay, well, now we know she can do it. Now we're going to get rid of her. And we're going to say that this vision is the one we captured. And he stopped her. It just, again, I said it before. I'll say it again. That's not an interesting character. When you've got a government guy who's just shady and he doesn't want to listen to anybody, he's constantly like, you can't do that. I'm gonna be on over top of you. I'm the one in charge here. You can't question my authority. Anytime you have a character like that, it's boring. We've seen it. It's been done to death. Probably thousands of characters like that in every movie. It's such an easy antagonist to make, too. Like, if you give him some sort of connection to another villain, maybe. Like, there were rumors that maybe he was like Ultron in disguise. That would have been dumb. But it would have had more of a point than this. Like, this is just so stereotypical, like, evil government guy. I'm like, there's got to be more than that. So, yeah, at the end, still the same exact awfully written character that he was throughout the entire season. And, again, it's disappointing considering that kind of chemistry that we saw between him and Monica when they first re-met after she got brought back from the snap. There was that kind of interesting chemistry where you could tell he was trying to like walk on eggshells because he didn't want to be too overbearing, but also he was in charge, and so he was trying to like make sure he was still enforcing his authority without being like too much like, hey, like I'm the one in charge here, you got to listen to me. And then that just changed once they actually got to the hex and they actually saw what was going on. It's just like, God, it's so boring. Anyways, but yeah, the fight scenes between Agatha and Wanda were pretty good. Um, the magic draining stuff kind of out there a little bit. There were a couple moments when I was kind of questioning it in my head at times. Like that final fight scene. I did like how it ended. I like the cleverness because she was, I saw her shooting the barrier, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what's she doing? Because they seem to be really focusing on that. So she's doing something, right? And then it seems like Agatha's absorbed all of her power, and then we see she set up the runes on the barrier, which means Agatha can no longer cast magic. And why is she flying? Why was she flying? But yeah, that there are a couple questions just because of Agatha's magic and how it works. It's like, so did she not absorb all of Wanda's magic, and that's why Wanda was able to take it back in the moment? I'm kind of confused about that. Like it was just kind of a confusing thing. It wasn't bad. It's just there are some things that probably need to be explained a little bit better for people who maybe don't understand how the magic works in the MCU, like me. Maybe some of the comic book fans are like, no, you gotta understand, right? Because Agatha's magic only really works fully once she's completely absorbed the person. But if she's only absorbed part of it, then Wanda would still have the ability to take it back because, she still has the power to absorb Agatha's magic back into her as long as Agatha can't use her power in return. Sure. If people can explain that to me, great. If not, then, Marvel should probably do a better job explaining it. Onto one thing that, in my opinion, is going to be an underrated twist. Only because I called it very early on. Pietro. Like I said, I called it pretty early on that this was not going to be actually Quicksilver. This was not going to be even X-Men Quicksilver brought from another universe. In my mind, I always thought whether it was Wanda or whether somebody else was controlling him, I always thought this was going to be a random guy that was given Quicksilver's memories and his powers so that he could play the part of Wanda's brother. Now, at the time, I wasn't sure if Wanda had subconsciously done this to somebody so that way she could have her brother, and then we found out that Agatha was the one controlling him. So I know I've already seen, some of the reaction. People are kind of pissed about it because they're like, oh, you had a chance to bring the X-Men over. People are always going to be pissed no matter what you do. So at least they did something kind of clever where it's like, hey, we got Evan Peters to be your brother. Psych! I like that. I like the fact that they did kind of psych a lot of people out. I enjoyed that twist. But also the fact that it turned out he was Ralph. I kind of like that twist too, Agatha's been talking about Ralph this entire season. Oh, my husband Ralph. And people were questioning, he's like, well, who's Ralph then? We haven't seen Ralph once. This is why. It's because it was Evan Peters' character. I'm like, okay. I kind of like that. It's not a huge, a shocking twist or anything. But I like the fact that they actually had, a fun little twist, for kind of just throwing some of the viewers and a lot of those theorists and the people who, come up with all these different theories of why is he here? How did he jump over from a different universe? It's like, you know what? We're going to give you all of these little breadcrumbs that you think you're following and you think you're super smart, and then just pull the rug right out from under you and say, psych. For me personally, because a lot of those people can be so obnoxious with their theories and, I don't know, there are a lot of people online that are obnoxious in general. So whenever those people kind of get, tricked, I got to appreciate that. So I like that part. Monica, I still like her character and I like her powers and stuff. It's cool. I do wish she had a bit more of a point in this final episode. It did sort of feel like she was just sort of there. And yeah, she did at one point stop the bullets from hitting the kids. And I mean, honestly, it is pretty cool to see that scene where she's just all of a sudden, I don't know how her powers work. We're probably going to learn about that in a different Marvel product. I don't know where. That's the thing. It's the next one is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's she's not going to show up in that because she has no real reason to, So I do wish we could learn more about what her powers are and how she's able to use them, because it was pretty cool to see that. The bullets go right through her, but it's she uses her newfound energy to catch them and then drop them behind her. So that was a cool scene. And then we see at the end, too, there's a Skrull who invites her into the theater, posing as like a government lady, and then says, someone who was a friend of your mom's wanted me to come get you, talking about Nick Fury, of course. So whatever Nick Fury was doing on that spaceship that we saw at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm assuming we're going to find out more about that soon. It seems like that's probably going to start playing in the next, maybe in the next couple things, maybe not. Maybe it's going to be something that doesn't get found out till like Captain Marvel 2, possibly. But I do hope that we start to find out why was Nick Fury there, why were these Skrulls posing as him, how long has that been happening. That's the type of stuff I want to know more about. And then I think there was one more thing that I was just kind of iffy about before I get on to the stuff I really, really liked. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. No, I don't remember. I think I've lost it. I think if there was something else iffy, I'll remember it later. But on to the stuff I really liked. First of all, one of the lesser things that I liked was just kind of a fun little moment because it ties in personally with a show I know I love, and I think I've talked about on my channel several times that I love because it's probably my favorite all-time show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They brought the Darkhold into this, and I think it's a bit of a redesign from the one we saw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know if there are multiple Darkhold books, or if this is just one that Agatha had that she created, so that's why it looks different. I do now really want to go back and rewatch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and be like, okay, so let's get to that Darkhold part and remind me what all they said about it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and how does it connect with the one in WandaVision stuff. So I like that little connection. So that was fun. I think the stuff with Wanda, in the town, actually that was one thing. Okay, the iffy thing came back to me. So the stuff with Wanda in the town and the emotional stuff she went through, I really liked. The iffy thing in that, though, is the scene with all the townspeople. Because I got the sense of what they were going to go for with the townspeople, pretty early on. I liked the initial scene where Agatha, basically unbrainwashes everybody, and they all start, confronting Wanda, Wanda, whatever you want, please, we'll do it for you, please, just help me, I'm done, I don't want to be mind control anymore, I'll do whatever you want. I like that scene initially, but it dragged on, because then it felt like that scene was happening for a little too long, and then at the end we have the scene where she's walking among them and they're all, giving her the look, and she's, slowly walking through them and stuff. I'm just that first scene was all I really needed. You could have had a quick little insert as she's walking up to Monica and they're talking about, the people here, whether they would forgive her. You could have a little scene where maybe they're all huddled over to the side and, talking to somebody, and she looks over at them and a couple of them are glaring back at her. But you didn't need to have these long drawn out scenes where it's oh, feel how heavy this is. All these people are so scared of her. And ooh. Because, for one, we've already seen that's something she's gone through, in Captain America Civil War. We saw her go through this struggle of, her powers caused destruction, property destruction. People lost their lives. Some people were very heavily injured because of what she did and her powers. So she already has been vilified before for her powers. So we didn't really need that again, and to such the extent that they went to. I liked parts of it. I liked it at first. The scene with Dottie, oh my gosh, my baby girl, can you please give her a part? Because she's just been locked up in a room. Wanting her to actually bring her more into the show so that way she's not just staying there frozen completely. That was a powerful scene, but then it just kept going and kept going and kept going. I'm okay, now you're just laying it on way too thick. And because I don't know, it's almost like they wanted us to feel so bad for her for so many different reasons. I'm look, you could have just had it where she had to give up this world and lose her, her husband and her kids that she created, she has to lose that. That's already enough. I already feel bad for her in that. You don't have to continually make me feel bad for her because she's being ostracized from all these people. Um, so I don't know. That again, that was just an iffy thing. It wasn't like it was awful. It just felt like it went on a little too long. But yeah, the emotional stuff with Wanda at the end, yeah, it was sad. Did I see it coming because of all the posts online? Absolutely. But I mean, it was still emotional. The acting in the show was pretty spot on. Like in Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, like fantastic. They really brought the emotion in that final scene to the point where I remember thinking to myself at one point when they're having that conversation, he's just like, who am I? And they start talking about it. I was like, some of this writing is pretty sappy, but damn if they don't deliver it, like it takes some really good acting to take some of the sappy lines that they said and actually make them sound very emotional and very real. Because I don't think people talk like that in real life, but I believe it when I watch it, and that's what really good acting can do. So, bravo, for making me feel all the emotions, even though I knew what was coming. I still managed to feel those emotions anyway. Like, good job on that. And then the final thing is something I've already kind of made a reference to that I really, really liked, and that is the Theseus' ship conversation between the two visions. First of all, I did see an article, because apparently Paul Bettany did an interview, and he talked about there was going to be a cameo from another actor that he's always wanted to work with, and he felt like the chemistry between them like flew off the screen and all this stuff. And the thing is, this article surfaced because after last episode, when the White Vision came online, it was like everybody started to realize he's trolling us. And that just made the scene even better. Before the conversation, before the not theological, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really late, so my brain is kind of off and words are probably going to escape me. But like the discussion that they had, about all that stuff. Even before that, just knowing the backstory of the scene and knowing that Paul Bettany was sitting there doing that interview, like, just probably with this big smirk on his face, like, oh yes, I've always wanted to work with him. The chemistry between us just flying off the screen. Like, I can't wait for people to see this cameo. And everybody's like, oh, who's it gonna be? Like, has he worked with Benedict Cumberbatch before? Is it gonna be Doctor Strange? And like, oh, could it be a new character? Like, oh, what if John Krasinski is gonna come on as like Mr. Fantastic? All of these theories flying around, and then we get to this is like, damn it, like, you're talking about yourself, you piece. I'm just like, this. It was brilliant. I got a little choked up laughing about it. No, but the discussion between the two of them was just so well written. Just the dialogue between them was awesome. It was funny because, ironically, I got my girlfriend to watch all the Marvel stuff, and she's not like huge into Marvel, but she enjoys it for the most part. Like, there are a couple that didn't really interest her as much as it did me because she's not as much of a comic book nerd. But she still watched all of them. And ironically enough, she watched this before I did because I was busy and she wasn't. And so she went ahead and watched it. And I was just like, cool. My non-Marvel fan girlfriend got to watch it before I did. But she did mention, like, without spoiling anything, she was like, there is one scene where I really feel like you're going to enjoy the dialogue in it. And so when it got to that scene, I'm like, this is the scene she was talking about. Like, oh, damn, this is really good. Because it was. Like, this is what I expect two AI, sentient, humanoids, synthezoid? Is that what they're called? They're very logical thinking. And so the fact that I guess Wanda's vision was talking to this White Vision and sort of like brought up that theory of like, well, if you take apart this boat and you put new pieces on and eventually none of the old pieces remain, is it still the same ship? And there's another one that has to do with like, if you have a favorite sock and, part of that sock, like a patch of it comes off and you put another patch of cloth on it and eventually you keep doing that until none of the original cloth remains, is it still that favorite sock? And, same thing. If you patch it all together, is the new sock considered your favorite sock, or, is it still just the one that has none of the original cloth? So it's like, very, very poignant and very metaphorical for the situation going on right now with these two visions. You've got one that is the body, the actual physical body of the original Vision, but with none of the memories. And then you've got this one that he may not have the memories of being the Avengers Vision, but personality and his connection to Wanda, that inside of him is what, Vision was for Wanda. So it really was just such a great logical discussion. And I'm just sitting there smiling like a kid in a candy shop while I'm watching. I'm like, this is just great. Like, the fighting was goofy as hell, but man, this scene is so good. So yeah, I from the reactions online, I think that's probably going to be most people's favorite scene, if I had to guess. So yeah, fantastic job to the writers on that one as well. Because I did kind of crap on them a little bit. It's like, oh, some of that sappy stuff at the end. Like, nobody really says that. They did do a fantastic job with the writing on that scene. But with all that being said, though, like I said, there's still some questions that do need answered. We don't know what happened to White Vision. Wanda does go off somewhere on her own, and now she's studying, doing astral projection too. So it's like showing kind of the similarities between what she's able to do and what Doctor Strange is able to do. But she's studying the Darkhold as well, and in her studies of the Darkhold, she starts to hear her, her non-existent sons, which, I mean, it's gonna happen, and really interesting to see. First of all, Agatha. Thankfully, they don't kill her off, because I was really worried they were just gonna kill her off and be done with her. But she's not dead. Wanda rewrites her, like, personality and her memories while she's still inside the hex. So now she's just gonna live in Westview as Agnes, like, actually. I'm sure she'll come back at some point, though, because I really do want to explore her backstory more and find out why she decided to explore this dark magic. What caused her to look into it? Was there an influence, like a person that did it, or was it just curiosity? Like she heard about dark magic and how powerful it was, and she's like, well, why can't we do it? I want to look into it. Kind of like what was the name of the evil sorcerer in Doctor Strange? Mads Mikkelsen played him, I think. I can't remember his name now. Caecilius. Oh, I'm normally terrible with names, so if I got that right, I'm going to be pretty proud of myself. But yeah, so I want to learn a bit more about her, but it does kind of feel like Wanda might possibly be taking that road too. And there is apparently a prophecy that the Scarlet Witch is going to destroy the world. This could be how. As she's studying this dark magic and the possibility of bringing her boys back, like she has the ability to. She has the ability to create something out of nothing. Like, that is kind of a tempting power to have. And especially because she's so isolated now with nobody else to go to. It does kind of raise that possibility of, yeah, she could turn down a dark path. Now, I do think there's a lot of talk that this is going to lead directly into Doctor Strange 2. In fact, from what I understand, there's supposed to be, like, I think they said there was a scene that didn't make it into the show that actually had Doctor Strange in it, which was going to more directly connect it. I am kind of glad that they didn't have him at the end there, just because I prefer the flow be a bit more natural rather than like, hey guys, here's Doctor Strange right at the end. That would have kind of been like, okay, that's really forcing it. But I do like the setup though, that like she is looking into this dark magic, and yeah, Doctor Strange might need to go mentor her because she's all on her own right now, studying this dangerous magic by herself and still in a very lonely state. Yeah, she might have been able to overcome her grief a little bit by, everything she went through. Like, it may have been kind of a therapeutic experience, and getting to have this may have given her a bit of closure since she didn't actually get to have it. But it's still that loneliness can lead to deeper grief and deeper despair. So I kind of hope that we do get to see more soon about that. But who knows for sure. And then, what was the other thing I was just about to talk about? Really shouldn't do reviews this late. Like, my brain is so that I'm already kind of like losing my topics as I'm thinking about them. think I've lost it. Oh, I wanted to also talk about one final thing. Probably one of the, you know, one of the more just kind of, it's there and it's something that I wanted to address because I personally kind of liked it. Her outfit, like, yeah, I really, Marvel has always been very good at kind of modernizing and taking these very normally silly comic book looking outfits, like, what she wore in the Halloween episode. The goofy spiky thing. This, it looks good. Like, it's based on the comic. It's still got the kind of goofy looking crown or tiara or whatever it is, but it still looks like it fits within the world. Like, it doesn't look way out of place. And I think Marvel's always been really good at that. At least the MCU has been very good at that, at taking these comic book costumes and stuff and making them not look absolutely ridiculous. And sometimes they even poke fun at some of the comic book adaptations. But yeah, this, I mean, it looked good. When she first made the switch and first became the Scarlet Witch and her costume changed, I was like, damn, that looks pretty badass. So, yeah, just a little side bit that I wanted to throw in. But all in all, though, the season as a whole, it was good. It was enjoyable. Do I think there were things they could have done better? Absolutely. But considering that this is kind of a different step for Marvel, it's a new format. It's a new setup for how they're telling stories. It's the first step in Phase 4, which, I will, now that I'm doing reviews kind of these Disney Plus shows, I guess I will also talk about the movies as well, since they'll be connecting. But, I am still curious to see what Black Widow is going to hold, since that was supposed to be the first Phase 4 movie. I have to imagine that there's some sort of connection they're going to bring up there. Or maybe it's just going to be a prequel movie, and that's all it was. It's just, hey, Black Widow never got a movie, and now she's dead. And we still have Scarlett Johansson for one more movie, so let's go get her back and tell an untold Black Widow story so we can see her one last time. But hopefully there's something there, because if not, then it's going to be like, oh, well, we have WandaVision, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I assume will probably have some sort of connection as well, and then you're going to have Black Widow that may have no connection whatsoever. But yeah, going forward, I am excited to see what else Marvel's going to bring. As far as just this individual season, I mean, I like some of the twists. Other twists I thought were kind of sloppily handled, but for the most part, like, I thought they told their story very well. And again, it's one that I feel like you can go back and watch now knowing what we know. And some of those early mysteries that you're just kind of like sitting there going like, what was that about? Or here's my theory about that. Now you can go through with the knowledge of knowing what happened and knowing exactly what's happening in the moment. And you can say, okay, yeah, I see how they did that. I see what's going on here. Like, that was pretty clever. But yeah, and again, hopefully some of these questions that didn't get answered, some of the stuff that happened that, didn't really go anywhere. Hopefully there's something in the future. I can't imagine how, but hey, Marvel so far has given us pretty good stuff. So I'm going to keep trusting that they've got an idea of what they're doing and they're not just winging it, and hope that that's the case. But anyways, with all that being said, though, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the final episode and the season in general? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future WandaVision. Well, I guess this is it. Leave a like and subscribe for future MCU reviews. And I'll see you guys at Falcon and the Winter Soldier in 2 weeks. Peace out.